Hello, welcome back to the Caleb Adamo channel. Today we're doing something a little bit different to the videos that we've been putting out recently. So I know that on this channel I want to do a lot of music, but I'd also like to incorporate some football related content. Big football fan, big follower of the Premier League. I'm not going to tell you the team I support yet because I'd like you to comment that down below by the end of the video to see if you can guess what team you reckon I support. Maybe based on my predictions, maybe based on how I talk about them. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with looking at the BBC website, who have this really cool kind of feature on their page that lets you predict the Premier League table. What we're going to do is we're going to start off at number 20 and we're going to work our way up to the top. I'm going to let you know who I think are going to get relegated, who might get the European spots, etc. What I want you to do, if you enjoy this, please leave a like on the video. Please comment down below your rankings. Let me know if I'm waffling. Let me know if I'm speaking the truth. And I'm going to give a brief explanation as we go through each team. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off at dead last at number 20. The team that probably everybody has in dead last is Norwich. Now Norwich are an okay team. I think that the likes of Pookie, Todd Cantwell, Billy Gilmore are all going to be good players for them, but good in the Premier League often doesn't cut it. So a lot of these players are championship players, and I know that Norwich are the type of yo-yo team that go up and down and up and down. So I think they're expecting to go down, to be honest. And I think they're preparing for that in advance by signing some of this young talent, hoping that it will help them get back to the Premier League the subsequent season. So then at number 19, I have gone for a team that I am really hoping get relegated. And that team is, if I can find it, Burnley. Oh, I just think it's time. I think it's time. Sean Dyche has done as much as he can, surely. And unless they get some money from this takeover that supposedly happened recently, I can't see them sticking around with their style of football for much longer. I mean, Chris Wood, Ashley Barnes are going to score some goals. They're probably going to get 10 goals each for the season. And they've got the likes of Tarkowski at the back, McNeil. They've got a couple of good players. I just think their style of football, I'm hoping anyway, that their style of football gets figured out sooner rather than later. I'm done with it, to be honest. It's the most boring thing to watch. I know that's unfair because you've got to do what you've got to do to survive, but I'm just done with Burnley. Okay, so moving on to my final relegation spot, I've got Watford. Now, I have been impressed with Watford so far in the opening 3 games because we've had 3 games of the Premier League so far. So I'm doing this in the international break, which gives me a bit of an opportunity to have a little think, a little reflect on the first 3 games of the season and see if that alters my opinions in any way. So we've got Watford at in 18th position. I do like Watford. I think they've got some decent players like Ismaila Sarr, Emmanuel Dennis. They've got some decent attacking options. Ismaila Sarr gets injured, then what? What's their backup plan? I'm not sure that Watford will have the patience to hold out with their manager to the end of the season. I think they go on a losing streak of maybe 5, 6, 7 games and the manager will be gone, he'll be out. They'll bring somebody else in, they'll try steady the boat, they might get them out again. We know they're a very trigger happy club, so unfortunately, even though I do like Watford as a club, I'm not expecting them to stay up. So just missing out on the relegation place, just missing out. I've got Crystal Palace. Now, I battled between putting Crystal Palace in 18th and Watford in 17th for ages, but have decided on Crystal Palace in the end purely because I think they've got some bigger names than Watford that can really pull out special moments, goals and saving moments for them where maybe Watford can't. The likes of Zaha, who's been there a very long time. I know Eberechi Eze is out for the season, but he should be coming back maybe halfway through, maybe towards the end of the season. That will give them a lift. That will be a massive boost. They brought in a lot of young talent. They've just signed Odsonne Edouard from Celtic a couple of days ago, so the day before the transfer window kind of closed on transfer deadline day. And if he hits the ground running, I can see him really making a big impact. I can see him really contributing with 10 to 15 goals for the season. And with Zaha already there, with Benteke, who started to chip in a bit more regularly towards the end of last season, I think they might just have enough to stay up. Then looking at the 16th spot, I have gone for newly promoted Brentford. Again, I think Brentford, Crystal Palace, Watford, I think they could switch between them, and I wouldn't be surprised if those 3 swap places in some form. I think I have been impressed with Brentford. I think that they have a really exciting coach who wants them to attack, who likes them going forward, is not just set on defending. And I know it's becoming a bit of a cliche at this point, but they are very reminiscent of that Sheffield United team when they came up a few seasons ago. They are a team that do seem to want to push forwards. Ivan Toney, I think that's his name, but Toney, their striker, who's the player that everybody talks about, he's going to bang them 12 to 15 goals for the season. He's going to get them out of some sticky situations. And maybe this is just a hope. Maybe this is just pure speculation or pure waffle even. But I think Brentford might surprise us all and stay up this season. They might. But like I said, Crystal Palace, Watford and Brentford, maybe even Dragon Burnley, there is a little bit of possibility for change there. Okay, so going into my 15th spot, we have Newcastle. Steve Bruce and the boys. So I reckon, again, they're going to have another kind of just bang average towards the bottom of the table, mediocre season. I think they're going to be playing boring football, and I think they're going to annoy the fans up there. Newcastle fans have some very hardy, steadfast, passionate support, and I'm expecting this season to be a little bit dull for those fans. I think the likes of Callum Wilson, Alan St. Maximin, they've just signed Joe Willock. I think they've got the players to stay up, so I don't think they're going to get relegated. I don't think they're going to get pulled into that too much. It might be touch and go, it might be close. In fact, all of these bottom 6 teams might be very close. But I think that Newcastle will have enough, despite the fact that Steve Bruce is maybe one of the most boring managers in the Premier League, in my opinion, especially with some of the talent that he has. Not that they have a stacked team, but they have a team that can at least try and go forwards from time to time. So moving on to 14th spot, I have predicted that, where are they? Southampton. Ralph Hasenhüttl as the coach, I think he's a brilliant coach. I think he would have done really well at someone like Tottenham. I know that they've just brought in Nuno over the summer, but I think Ralph Hasenhüttl is a very forward-thinking, very progressive coach. I think that Southampton team is being held together solely by him. It is very skeletal. They've just sold Danny Ings. They've just sold Yannick Vestergaard to Villa and Leicester respectively, and yet he's still making them look decent over the last couple of games that I've watched them play and the highlights that I've been able to catch up on. They're still playing some good football. They brought in the likes of Armstrong, who, along with Shea Adams, are going to have to really step it up this season. We're going to see if Armstrong can do it in the Premier League. He's looked okay in the first couple of games. I think he scored 2 goals, a goal or 2 already in the first 3 games, which is good. Shea Adams has already scored. I think Shea Adams really needs to start improving now, really needs to start becoming a little bit more lethal in front of goal. They've got James Ward-Prowse behind them, backing them up. They've still got Bednarek there. They've still got McCarthy in goal. I think they'll have enough. I don't like their squad, and if they do get a couple of major injuries, then they could probably drop into the bottom 3. I just think Ralph Hasenhüttl is a really underrated coach, and I think he has the potential to keep them up this season, which, to be honest, is probably a 14th place finish is probably the best that they can hope for. So then moving on into 13th position rather, I have put Wolves. So they've obviously just lost Nuno Espirito Santo to Spurs, and they are a team that are decent, and it's going to be really interesting to see how the new coach takes them forward. They've kept all their main players, which is really important. They've still got your João Moutinho, they've still got your Ruben Neves, Adama Traore. Raul Jimenez has just come back, which I think is a big deal for them. I think the fact that he might be back up and firing is hopefully going to be really important for them, and hopefully he can get 12 to 15 goals for them. Moving on up into 12th position, I have put Brighton. Here they are. Brighton. I really like Brighton. I think Graham Potter is, again, a brilliant coach. Would have been an excellent choice for the Spurs coach, and I think he has the potential to drag Brighton up to a 12th position finish, which I think it would be really good for them. I know that they've got Lamptey out for quite a long time, maybe the season. Could be wrong on that. But I still think that Graham Potter has the ability and the play style to bring Brighton up to a level. They've kept hold of Yves Bissouma. Maupay has scored already once or twice at the start of this season, so he's up and running. I think Brighton as a team are just in it together. They're a collective unit and they work together so brilliantly that actually I'm predicting that they not just stay up but maybe start dragging up into 12th position, they're going to have to keep hold of Graham Potter. And that's going to be an issue for them going forwards, maybe after this season. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some of the top teams, the likes of Arsenal, sacking your Mikel Artetas and then your Graham Potters and maybe even your Ralph Hasenhüttl, these names being bandied around for the Arsenal job or the likes of that. So Brighton are going to have to keep hold of Graham Potter, but if they do, I think 12th position could be possible. So then moving on up into 11th space, I have put Leeds. They're a fun watch, aren't they? They're a really good watch. I think they're just going to be a very mid-table team. 11th finish is probably good for them. I can't remember what they finished last season, but I think that 11th position is going to be a decent team for Marco Bielsa's boys. I don't think they're going to start pushing up into the even Europa Conference League places, but I do think that they're going to upset the apple cart in many senses this season rather. I think that they're going to beat some of the big teams, lose heavily like they did to Man United 5-1 on the opening day of this season. I think they're going to beat some of the teams around them. I think they're just going to be a really fun watch, and although they are a little bit unpredictable, I think that it all kind of evens out in the end, doesn't it? They'll score a lot of goals, they'll concede a lot, it will even out to a very average middle table position for me personally. And just above Leeds, I have put Aston Villa. Now, I battled with this because they've not had the best start to the season. However, they have just lost their talisman in Jack Grealish, and they are just trying to embed some of their new players, such as Bailly, who's going to be coming in. I reckon he can contribute with maybe 8 goals, 8 assists. Emi Buendia the same, maybe even more. He's a really good player. I think as soon as he gets embedded in, that's going to be a really positive. They brought in Ashley Young for a bit of experience. Danny Ings, who's already scored 2 goals this season, even though one was a penalty, I believe. I like this Aston Villa team. I think Dean Smith is a decent coach. I think he's underrated as well, very similarly to Ralph Hasenhüttl, but I think that he knows how to bring a team together. They've still got John McGinn, they've still got Tyrone Mings at the back, Esri Konsa's still there, Emi Martinez in goal, who I think is a very good goalkeeper, and I think that Arsenal were very stupid to let him go and keep hold of Bernd Leno, who's now causing all kinds of issues for them because he might be leaving anyway. So it really was a bit of a mistake there, wasn't it? So yeah, I'm thinking middle of the road for Aston Villa, and I know that their ambitions for the future are to start pushing forward, so we'll see how that goes in the future. So then at the 9th place position, I have put West Ham. Now, West Ham had European football for the first time in ages this season, and I do think that could harm them. So I think that West Ham could drop down to as low as 11th underneath Villa and Leeds if they go a decent length in the competition, if that makes sense. So if West Ham stay in the Europa League, if they get through the group stages, I think we could start seeing a toll on their team, especially in terms of injuries. If somebody like Michail Antonio is to go out, then I think they'd really be struggling. They do have a decent squad, I do like it. Saeed Benrahma has come in and started scoring goals for them. Lanzini, Fornals, they've got plenty of flair and attacking prowess, and I think that David Moyes is doing a brilliant job with West Ham. So I think 9, 10, 11 around here is a decent estimate guess for West Ham as an aggregate finish. And then at number 8, I've put Arsenal. Now the internet would have you thinking Arsenal are going to get relegated, but they're not going to get relegated, although it would be hilarious if they did. It would be so funny if Arsenal got relegated. I am predicting that they miss out on Europa League again. I don't think that they have what it takes currently under Mikel Arteta to get into that 6th and 7th spot. I think that Mikel Arteta has been found out already, which is a little bit awkward given that he hasn't been there all that long. I think there's so much animosity at that club right now. I think everybody's in meltdown every 2 seconds. I know that they've had a really tough opening 3 games against Man City, Chelsea, and then they lost 2-0 to Brentford, but I think that Arsenal will start picking up some points. I just don't think it will be all that good of a season for Arsenal. I think that Aubameyang doesn't seem to be firing on all cylinders. Lacazette doesn't seem to be doing that well. And yeah, I'm not all that impressed with them. Okay, and then moving on into the 7th position, we have Everton, or I've chosen to guess that Everton will finish 7th this season. I like Rafa Benitez. I think he's a really good coach. I think that he brings a lot to the team. I think he has the potential to bring a lot to an Everton team that is already quite stacked. Richarlison started off the season really well. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's already got a goal or two. They've got the likes of Bernard still there, Iwobi still there. Demarai Gray has already looked really exciting from the start of this season. He's been picking up quite a few assists, goals, driving runs. I like the look of that. I think their defence is okay. Coleman's getting on a bit, but they've still got Keane there. They've still got Yerry Mina. They've still got Luca Digne. He's a very good left back. So I'm predicting them to have a good season, and a good season for them, I still think is 7th. I don't think they have the ability to push up higher than that, but I think they might be the West Ham of last season, if that makes sense. So West Ham pushing up into the Europa League spots last season. I think Everton could do that this season. Okay, so then moving on into 6th, I have decided to put Tottenham Hotspur. They've started off the season really well, even beating Man City 1-0, despite not having Harry Kane properly embedded in their team, given the whole debacle and the whole drama that was going on with him possibly moving to Man City. I think that Son, Bergwijn, Lucas Moura, I think all three of those players are looking really good this season. And then if you add Kane in, even if his head is a little bit elsewhere, if he still gets 20 league goals this season and get maybe 12, 15 assists, I think you've got an amazing striker in that team who just elevates you into that Europa League spot. And I think despite the fact that their defence doesn't look as secure as I would want it to be for a top 4 push, I think that they've got a solid squad. I don't know what's going to happen to the likes of Ndombele this season. I think he's a really talented player, but I don't know if he'll play under Nuno. And I rate Nuno as a coach as well, so I think he's got the potential to bring them to 6th. And then I wouldn't be surprised to see Harry Kane leaving next season. And they use that money to rejuvenate the squad a bit more. Okay, so then number 5th, final Europa League spot, I have put... Where are they? Leicester. Going to have the same top 4 as pretty much everybody, but I'm predicting Leicester to just miss out on top 4 again, same as they've been doing the last couple of seasons. Again, really like Brendan Rodgers. I think he's massively underrated. I think that Arsenal would be lucky to have a coach like Brendan Rodgers, and I say that because I know a lot of Arsenal fans don't think that Brendan Rodgers is all that good. We're dealing with a coach here that has not got that good of a team. He's got Jamie Vardy, who's a very good striker, but is getting on a little bit now. James Maddison, and then Ndidi. That's probably their spine. So you've got some good players for those Europa League spots, but I don't think that they have the players that are going to push them into top 4. I think reasonably under a different coach, maybe even under Arteta, for example. I think Leicester have the potential to drop down into 9th, 10th. Don't think they will though. I think that they've recruited smartly as well. I think the likes of Patson Daka, Samare, I think are really good acquisitions. I think they have the potential to provide backup support and even press for those first team spots. And I think that a 5th place finish would be really good for Leicester, and that shouldn't be sneered at, that shouldn't be ignored. I think that would be a really good finish for them. Okay, the big 4, the big top 4. Now this is probably going to cause some people to be a little bit upset, a little bit disagree. I think at number 4 is going to be United. I think that they have Man United have the worst coach out of the top 7. Out of the top 7 that I have predicted, so my top 7, so from Everton up, Everton, Tottenham, Leicester, Man United, and then obviously you've got Chelsea, City and Liverpool in what order we'll find out in a minute. But I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the worst manager out of the lot of them, and I think you need to be a good manager to deal with the squad that Man United have now built. It is a very good squad, and it has the potential to battle for that first spot. I think this top 4 might be the closest top 4 we've had in a long time. But I don't think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has the ability or the kind of player coaching ability to deal with the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, who they've just brought in, Rafael Varane, Jadon Sancho, all players they've just brought into a team already stacked with Bruno Fernandes, Pogba, Rashford, Greenwood, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, De Gea. I think that it is a very, very, very good squad, but I think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not the coach to win them the league. I think they could do well in some cup competitions, but I don't know that he's the coach to win them the league. I also question the McFred partnership in the middle. If they'd have brought in an Ndidi or even a Basuma, I think Man United would be maybe my pick for first place. Okay, so moving on into third, I've actually put Man City. I think that Man City are an amazing team, a really, really good team. However, they did not find a striker. People might say that I'm absolutely waffling because they won the league last year without a proper designated recognised striker, given that Aguero was basically injured all season, and they don't really like Gabby Jesus, or Guardiola doesn't really rate Gabby Jesus as a striker, and I think he does actually perform some of his best games coming in off the left. So that being said though, I don't think they have the ability to do it for a second season. They have brought in Jack Grealish, who started off really well and he's an amazing player, he's really good. They've got De Bruyne, they've got Phil Foden to come back into the squad. They've still got Mahrez, they've still got Sterling, who has dropped off a little bit in my opinion in terms of performances in the latter years. There are rumours about him leaving as well, City, so I don't think that Guardiola necessarily sees him as the player to lead his line going forwards. You've still got a really good defence, you've still got Ruben Diaz, you've still got Laporte, you've still got John Stones. Their left back position is questionable as well. Obviously Benjamin Mendy is going to be locked away, so we'll ignore him. But they've got Zinchenko, who's good and has proven that he can win the league and get Man City to a Champions League final. But that is still an area of weakness in an otherwise amazingly stacked squad. And we haven't even mentioned the likes of Gundogan and João Cancelo, Kyle Walker. So yeah, I think that their left back and their striker positions could prove to be a little bit problematic this season. They could be. Equally, Man City could win the league. They're an amazing team, and I think they are probably also very likely. They're probably the odds-on favourites to win the league, but I can see them slipping a little bit. I can see them slipping a little bit this season, especially with the other two teams who we're yet to talk about. So second, Chelsea. I think Chelsea could win the league. I think City could win the league. I think United could win the league. And then obviously I think Liverpool could win the league. But Chelsea, obviously European champions, they're coming off the back of that. They have a brilliant squad, and they brought into an already established squad with the likes of Kante, Jorginho, Timo Werner. Questionable whether he's good or not, but Timo Werner, Christian Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi, Cesar Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, Mendy, Chilwell, Marcos Alonso, all these really good players, Kovacic, they've got really good players, and they've brought into that an amazing world-class level striker in Lukaku, who is going to score 20 goals this season, or around that kind of mark. He is going to have a brilliant season, maybe even more than that, especially if he's getting the service. And they brought in a Saúl Ñíguez to back up that contingents, that midfield contingents, the three players that they've already got in Kante, Jorginho and Kovacic. They sent Billy Gilmore out on loan. They've sold the likes of Tammy Abraham, but I don't think those sales, because they've made quite a few sales this summer, the summer just gone, I don't think that's going to hinder their progress at all. I think that Chelsea are going to go really deep in every competition. I wouldn't be surprised to see them pick up silverware this season. They are going to be a very good team. Kai Havertz, hadn't even mentioned him, and I think he's going to have a big step up season. And then finally, moving on into my number one position, I'm predicting Liverpool. Now this is an unpopular opinion because most pundits have got Liverpool finishing fourth. Most pundits and people that I've seen discussing the predictions have got Liverpool finishing fourth. I think Liverpool work well when they haven't got the eyes on them. I do think they work well when they haven't got the eyes on them. And this is completely dependent on them keeping their main players fit. If Salah gets injured, if Van Dijk gets injured, it's done for them. They'll finish fourth. Don't think they'll finish any lower than fourth, but they'll finish fourth. But if they keep Van Dijk fit and he begins to pick up game time again and gets back to his very best, if they keep Salah fit and he keeps banging in the goals, if they are able to get Mane back to what he was, not last season, but the season before, then I think they still have the best starting 11, or maybe one of, if not the best starting 11 in the Premier League, definitely rivaling Chelsea and City and United. And I think that they have the experience in that. Sure, Liverpool probably needed to bring in some players, but I think the chemistry between Mane, Firmino, Salah, Jota, Henderson, Van Dijk, Trent, Robertson, whoever they play out at centre-back, Gomez, Matip, Alisson, who's probably, well, for me, he's the best goalkeeper in the league, up there with Ederson, him and Ederson. And so I think that Liverpool have a very, very good starting 11, very good. I just think they need to make sure that they don't start picking up injuries, because they were silly in the market, in my opinion, and they didn't make signings other than Ibrahima Konate as like a rotation backup centre back. They didn't make the forward or midfield signings to replace the likes of Shaqiri and Wijnaldum, who both left. And I really think that they need to ensure all of their players stay fit, and Klopp needs to be wise with how he's using his players this season, because if he does, and if it clicks again, I think I could see Liverpool winning the league. So yeah, so that's my prediction for the Premier League. Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City and Man United. That's my top 4 there. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like. Let me know down below your predictions for relegation spots and top 4. That'd be really interesting to see. Let me know if I've been waffling. Let me know if I've made any sense. And hopefully I'll do some more football videos again in the future. We'll also mix them in with music videos, but thank you for watching. See you later.